So in this video, we're going to focus on inputs in Python, or inputs in programming. Last video you looked at outputs, which is where something is coming out of the program to the user. Now an input is when we need our program to allow something to come into the program from the user. So an input is something that is coming into the program. Now that can be from a sensor or a multitude of things, microphone for example, but in the programs that we're going to be creating in Python, that will be coming through the text window. Okay, so they will be typing in their inputs into your program. So how do we do that? Firstly, let's open up a file. So go File, New File, and here I have my untitled file. You can save yours first if you want. I always save it when I run it. It's probably not a good practice, but anywho. Okay, so we use a function again, but this time the function is called inputs. Straight away you can see the IDE has turned that purple. I now know that it has recognised that as a function or a keyword, and it's spelt correctly. All functions have two brackets, an open and a closed bracket. Good practice is to just do open close straight away, and then you know you won't miss them. Now the input function takes an argument, and what we mean by an argument is that it's something that goes inside the brackets, okay? And it's not what you want to be inputted. We don't know what the user is going to input. It's the question that we want to ask the user to prompt them to input. So for example, I could put, what is your name? And you can see that what is your name is a string. Remember, we call text string in programming. And because it's a string of characters, it needs to be encased with quotes. So I've got quote here, quote there, within the brackets, and it's turned green, so I know that it's recognized it as text. So the function is input. Inside the brackets, what we actually type is the message to the user to ask them what we want them to input. Let's run this. So go to run module, or you could just press F5. Click OK. I need to save that. Save this in your user area in a folder. I'm going to save it here though. Oh, don't want to call it that. Input, save, and it will run. You can see that it's actually output, and this does cause some confusion when students are new to programming, Python programming. Why is it output something? Well, that is the prompt, okay? Because our input function contains some text to ask the user, prompt the user for their input. Otherwise, they won't know what we want them to input. We could do a separate print and a blank input, but it requires more programming and more lines of code. So we can just use the prompt. What is your name? And I'll type my name in. There you go. When I hit enter, the chevrons appear. Let me run that again and show you the difference between that and the print statement. Let me run this. What is your name? Can you see? We've got a flashing cursor here. It's expecting the user to respond. It's expecting an input. That program hasn't ended. It's waiting. It's waiting. So now my name's Bob, for example. And I type, now the program ends. You can see the chevrons have appeared, flashing cursors. The program is ended. If I change this input to a print, the same thing appears to happen over here. What is your name? But can you see the cursor? The program has ended, the cursor is flashing, but it's not expecting me to input anything. I can't, or I could do that, but it's not going to like it, okay, because the program is no longer running. Going back to the program over here, so print, what is your name? I could just type in input, open close bracket, and I can run this. And you can see now the flashing cursor is on the line after. So it's done the print statement here, what is your name, input, and now it's waiting for my reply, and I can type my name in again, and then the program ends. However, why use two lines of code when you can use one? So the input function allows us to provide a prompt, a message to the user, which enables them to know what we want them to enter without having to use a separate print statement. Common syntax errors are pretty much the same. Missing out the bracket, missing out the quote, spelling input wrong. A very, very common input. No, it's not input, it's going in, so it's input, or put. I get input as well with the wrong thing. So input. A new error is this one. Input equals. This will make sense later on when we start looking at variables and saving what coming in. Input equals. It will not like this. This is a syntax error. And you can see it just does nothing. My prompt hasn't, it's got input equals, what is your name? So we can't do the input equals.
Right, everyone, let's go out in about half an hour. How does that sound?
And that was my husband broadcasting a message on Google Home while I'm recording. Helpful. Anyhow, I want you to stop this video and I want you to complete the tasks in your OneNote and practice the use of input function in Python in order to get values to come in from the user into the program.